We really tend to think that everybody cares about what we do. We go outside and think that everybody's staring at us and judging us. It could be from having a bad hair day, or it could be an embarrassing moment that we had, or that you will have at some point in your life, that is guaranteed. But I've come to realize that people don't care about you at all. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm teaching you something. This is not a piece of advice, this is more like a conversation we can have. I can tell you multiple moments in my life where I said the wrong thing, which was socially awkward, and I really felt embarrassed and could think about it for days. I even had my pants pulled down when I was in class at school, in front of everybody. But I decided to tell you about a different moment in my life where I realized that nobody gives a damn. It was one of the first years in university actually. Specifically, it was a class about online business and we had a project that we should have done. So we were all talking about these projects with our professor, and the thing was that me and my friend did absolutely nothing so far. We had a basic overview of what we wanted to do. Everybody else had done some stuff. We were at zero. And I was thinking that surely out of all these people, like 100 people maybe, the professor wouldn't come and talk to us, the two people that hadn't done anything, right? But after a few minutes he came closer to us, and I don't remember how and why, but he started talking to us about the project, and I think I asked something about the project just to appear as if we actually did something, which was a bad move because what he said next was, do you want to come to the board in front of the whole class and talk about it? He wanted to use us as an example for the whole class to help them understand the project. But like I said, we hadn't done anything. I barely knew what the project was about. It was so awkward at first. We had to stand in front of the whole class, and it felt like everybody was looking at me and judging every single move I made, even how I walked or how I moved my hands. Like they were probably thinking, what the fuck is this guy saying? What is he talking about? Why is his hair like that? Why is his outfit like that? And so on. I couldn't even look at the class. I avoided eye contact. I was just looking at my professor and talking to him. After a few minutes though, I decided to face them, face my fears, and I looked at the crowd at the class, and I noticed that almost nobody gave a shit. Literally, most of them were zoned out. Some of them were having conversations with each other, not caring at all what the hell was going on, and some of them were interested, but only to what the professor would say, and only in comparison to their work, their project, their lives. No matter if I lost my train of thought or I didn't know how to answer to a question the professor made, the rest of the class wouldn't care. They would just ask questions about themselves again and their projects. So then I realized, why would anyone care about a random guy talking about his project? Everybody cares about their own lives and how they are doing, which is 100% normal. Do you care about every stranger? After 30 minutes they would probably have forgotten about me, like I would have forgotten if I were in their place. And I've been in their place multiple times, I cannot recall anything. And I guess like you would have, and like you have in your life when somebody was on stage or in front of the whole class. You might remember one incident of your close friend probably. So what I did that day was freestyle the whole thing. And I did great because I wasn't constantly overthinking. After the realization, I suddenly felt confident and even pretty chill about the whole thing. I even used light humor and everything with the professor. So we all have these moments in our lives where we are too self-conscious, but it's all in our head. After that class, nobody came up to me and said, what the hell were you talking about? Or maybe that was very embarrassing of you and made fun of me. In fact, my friend came up and said, you did great actually. He said that he couldn't handle it as good as I did, knowing that I didn't know anything about the topic. So people aren't walking with a mental notepad writing down all your mistakes and bad moments. They're not keeping a score of moments that were awkward for you. The stress and anxiety I had at that point, at that moment, and that you probably have in your moments are just wasted energy at the end of the day. The truth is that once you get a grasp of that, it's pretty freeing. You feel free. You start to loosen up a bit. Those insecurities feel like they're drifting away. Like, what if I sound dumb? What if I fail? What if they all laugh at me? What if they think this and that about me? The answer is that maybe it will happen, or probably it surely will happen, but they will forget about that moment in 5 minutes. Everyone's busy fighting their own lives, their own demons. It's the everyday life. Everybody has battles. Most people that could be judging you are mostly preoccupied about how they look, how they sound, and how they're coming off. It's basically a cycle, and it traps a lot of people in that cycle. But once you take a step out of that cycle, you start doing things differently. You start doing them in your own way, not how the others would perceive it, which you should do at some cases, of course, but you're not trying to look for that approval. Like, I know some people that are afraid to try something different in their outfits, for example, which is very basic, you know, like, this is out of my comfort zone. And you think about it from your perspective and you think that this is a very simple change, you know, because it is. And I'm not saying that all these fears will just suddenly magically disappear, but you will minimize them, and you will minimize that stress and that overthinking. But you will learn to actually understand that it's happening at that point and make it stop. So yeah, you're not at the spotlight, which is kinda also egoistic to think. But this is a very different conversation for another time, which I hope we can have another conversation. But that was it for this one. I'm glad we had this conversation, and until the next time, see you around, brother.